Hey guys, I'm Nathan,
And I'm Matt.
and today we're going to be doing a versus video. I'm going to be playing Blue White Red Geist, and Matt's going to be playing Melira Pod.
Yeah.
I've gone over this Blue White Red Geist list on several different deck techs, so I'm not going to cover it in detail. But I wanted to give you guys a chance to look at the list. The only thing I've changed from videos in the past is I dropped a fourth Geist to add a third Vendilion click. Just wanted to try to give a little bit more flexibility at the 3-drop slot. We'll see how that works out. In the sideboard, I decided to go ahead and give running Rest in Peace along with Grafdigger's Cades against Pod a try, primarily because I feel like while those cards hurt us, they hurt Pod worse. And
Way worse.
that deck draws so well live that I think that their top decks are actually probably better than ours. We can draw a card like Cryptic Command, but they can draw a card like Revelark and just begin rebuilding their board. So I want to give that a try. That's pretty much all I have for this list. Let's see what Matt's working with.
Okay, so I'm playing the basic Melira pod list. Got my fetch lands, a few of the early quicker lands, some basics, just in case anyone gets cute with Blood Moon. And the idea of pod essentially is to put in creatures that have an impact immediately or that have an impact when they die, in the case of Revelark. And it seems like it plays like a combo deck. It does have a kill combo in it. If you get Murderous Redcap, Melira, and Viscera Seer, you can do an infinite amount of damage, but more often than not, it plays just like a mid-range deck with a lot of options. So the things that come in for value are things like Birthing Pod, where any of your other creatures that you've already dropped, you can tear them down and throw up newer creatures, more powerful creatures, 1 mana cost more. And then there's early Mana Dorks. Very little interaction in the deck. A couple Abrupt Decays to shore that up, and we have some creatures to attack their hand and attack what's going on in play with things like Murderous Redcap. In the sideboard, we've got a few options. Relevant in this one, more than likely, is going to just be Thoughtseize and Sin Collector, and then throw in the last troll, because unless they have Wrath of God, they can't really deal with it.
Sweet. All right, let's get started. All right, guys, here we go. We run the die roll, so we will play first. And I think this hand is serviceable. It'd be nice to have another land, obviously. But we have this, and we can play them. Ordinarily, we wouldn't know what we're going to be playing against, and I'd probably try to keep this hand, so that's what we're going to do. Guess you can too, Matt?
Yep.
Okay, we will lead here and pass.
Alright, so we didn't have very much action starting out, but we did have a good array of lands, and we have some ways to sort of get online if we draw anything good. So I kept it. I think it would be better than the average 6. So, and we were on the play, so I think we had time to draw into some gas.
Okay, so pretty clear that we're playing Pod. It'd be nice to have a removal spell, which we don't. So we'll play here and pass the turn back.
Alright. So at this point, I'm thinking he probably has some sort of counterspell. If he had removal, maybe in the form of a path, he wouldn't want to use it against Noble Hierarch at all. But let's see if we can sort of bait him out with it, because we might be playing just blue-white, so get some damage in.
Oh god, Noble Hierarch beats, no!
Yeah, get in there, Noble Hierarch. So just do a little bit of damage. We could have had a little bit of a faster start, but I'm okay with this. And I don't mind this getting countered. So
I'm almost tempted to let it resolve, because I feel like Miller isn't that dangerous unless he has the three parts in play. Then again, it is another permanent that we have to deal with, and I think that we just start trading card for card here early. as the deck intends. Okay, so let's see. So that wasn't a bad draw. We'll go ahead and ship the turn back. We have this, but I think we want to stay in a sort of controlling route for now. Beats. Noble Hierarch getting in there.
All right, so I see a little bit of land destruction and blue-white. I'm assuming it's a counterspell. He already dropped one on Melira, and this is the only thing I have to my name, but why not just throw it in there? I mean, at worst, it gets countered, and we don't have any more gas anyways. So, I mean, we could just hang on to it, but if we're playing a control deck, he's going to run away with the game anyway. So we might as well throw something out there.
So I think we want to play this just so that we can sort of tempo him back a bit, see some more cards. Okay, so missing land drops is not ideal. But I don't think we're in a comfortable position yet to do this. We have our primary concern being Birthing Pod, so we probably want to hold on to this here. So we'll ship the turn again. Hope that we draw something good.
Alright, so that changes everything. But I think we're on the same plan.
Man, she's just doing work.
I know, 3 damage.
She keeps getting in with that walking stick and smacking me in the face.
So we'll play that because there's no reason not to. And if he has a counterspell, hopefully this eats this and not one of the keys to our deck.
So Kitchen Finks is annoying, but we have other ways in the deck to deal with that in the form of Path to Exiles. I think we really want to hold up any counter magic we have, primarily for things like Birthing Pod. So we're going to let that resolve.
Alright, a little bit of a life boost doesn't matter too much in this particular matchup, but you know, we've got a 5-point life swing already, although, and he missed a land drop, so that kind of buys us a little bit of breathing room.
We missed a few land drops. So that wasn't a great draw. I still don't think we're in a position to begin trying to get aggressive. We're clearly going to be in a position where we're leveraging our life total, as they say, to gain some decision-making power.
Alright, we'll grab an Overgrown Tomb just to flesh out our ability to play these different lands. And now I think we are not going to swing with the Noble and hope that he lacks a path. Alright, so he doesn't counter that, and he only has 3 lands. I'm worried about him having a remand. If he has a remand, we allow him to dig closer to his land. And if he has a... He still hasn't played any lands, and if he has a mana leak, it matters. So I'm just going to go ahead and ship the turn.
Okay, so finding a land was good. Pass turn. That land is definitely going to be getting a steam vent, so we can get a red source online as well.
So I'm always kind of squeamish to blow lands against open, mostly blue, but blue or black mana. That was not a good draw in this kind of a matchup, but you know, maybe he drew a path, maybe he didn't. So we'll roll on here. You know, this is our only form of damage this turn. So if we get some, that's good. All right. So I think it's worth risking the remand right now to play this, because if he has a mana leak, it isn't going to stop us. So he'd need 2, and I would be willing at this point in the game to trade. He has 7 cards in his hand, so to trade 2 of his cards for a red cap, because our top deck quality is pretty good. And I mean, this leaves this open. It's not that big a deal in this matchup, but you know, we still don't know what he's playing. We might play something like a Ruined Halo, and that would be good against it.
So I think we're gonna. Let's see. We can't mana leak this anyway, so I think we're kind of just forced to let this resolve.
Then when he comes into play, he shoots for 2. He has no creatures or anything else to hit, so why not just Slam into the face. So I feel like a Hollowed Burial would be a blowout because a lot of blue-white decks play him, although if he has red, he's more likely to have something like Supreme Verdict, which I would be okay with. He shocks himself.
We're taking some damage here, but we need to try to use the spells we have, I think, to begin trying to take some control of the game back.
Lightning Helix. Okay, so this gives us a unique opportunity, possibly, to... I know that he might have counter magic. This plays around counter magic, but if he has a remand, it allows him to remand his own Lightning Helix. Although I think he would have done that if he had it, he would have remanded the Murderous Red Caps. So this can't be countered, and I'm willing to give up the Noble Hierarch, whose effect on the board is minimal at this point. I mean, if we draw a pot, it would be kind of a loss, but he's at 4, and I don't want him to gain that life.
So that's unfortunate. That's not something that I think you kind of typically expect to see, but probably pretty relevant considering.
Yeah, it was already
life total.
a dirty, horrible card in the matchup. There's almost nothing I can hit with it except like Snapcaster Mages, and I'm willing to trade that card, which couldn't be countered. It was very perfect for the moment. It was like taking advantage of a way to offload a bad card for a 3-point life swing.
We're pretty behind now. We have this. We can't play either of these powerful spells. We do have this and this and this. So maybe we get this in as some kind of...
So if he plays that, we've already won the game. Unless he has a Lightning Bolt. If he has a Lightning Bolt, he can delay the game for 1 turn if he blocks and bolts, which I'm okay with because both of our creatures have persist, and so that would leave him empty-handed. And then he would essentially have to be on something like a Cryptic Plan to try and stall us until he can get something big. So, I mean, he doesn't have to block. He could Lightning Bolt us, or Lightning Bolt one of the guys, and then just leave it go. But if he did that, the Geist doesn't get to hit. So, he has to answer this or die. And he's choosing not to block, which means he has a spell. Oh no, or he's blocking. Sorry. Okay, that's.
So I think we want to block here. I mean, we're more or less dead. We can let the red cup through, but then if he, I mean, if we, I think we block. I think we shoot the red cap, and
so that's unfortunate. He did have a line of play that was able to keep his very meager life total alive. However,
that's 2 life, man. That's plenty. Life is a resource.
I can still punch him, and he loses his Geist. I go back up to full, or up to 22 life. And we're just going to throw this out there because we have nothing else going on. So, and I mean, the jig is up. The gig is up. We have already kind of revealed that we have nothing going on. I mean, we could be holding something like an Abrupt Decay, but keeping Wall of Roots in our hand doesn't do us any good. So,
I mean, this is really gross. We really have no choice. This is our only play right now. So we're going to live at 1 for a bit.
So I'm thinking he's got either a Cryptic Command or a Snapcaster Mage with a Lightning Helix. Either one of would be bad for us, but I'd rather see the Cryptic Command. He has 5 cards in his hand, which is unfortunate, but hopefully they're not lands, so there's some kind of action. Cryptic Command. I don't like that card.
We're gonna tap and draw. We really don't have. I mean, we need to see something, anything. So bouncing a land or bouncing Wall of Roots just doesn't really do anything for us. He'll just replay it anyway.
So I'm gonna highlight a little bit of sloppy play. Instead of the Woodland Cemetery, I probably should have played this other land because it's a fetch land, and I didn't fetch this. And thinning your deck is important, especially when we're trying to close the game out right now. And if we get anything that's good, like a Murderous Red Cap, a Birthing Pod even might do it for us, although because of his, let's see, we're kind of shy on white mana in a way. I mean, it's not super relevant at this point. All right, we have this game. He would have to have some crazy ninjutsu to get out of this one.
I think we still do this. There's really nothing else we can do.
All right, that was pretty damn good for us. He can't mana leak this. I am worried a little bit about Remand, so I'm going to Court of Calling and leverage my dudes as a resource, and so I won't be able to replay this exactly right now if I botch this, but if this goes through, it's game.
Yeah. So the fact that our opponent was doing anything at all, uh, and we can't actually sack our Scalding Tarn to get a land because we're at 1 life and that would kill us.
So we had a lot of choices. Court of Calling is good for us in almost any situation as long as we have mana or a lot of dudes. But the Murderous Redcap,
Gonna get it done.
snap grabbed it because, yeah, he's gonna seal the
he's a burn spell on a stick. So
Yep.
you just burned me out.
He's a burn spell that repeats himself.
Right. Yeah. He's angry. All right. So we're gonna play another game unsideboarded, and we'll see you soon. All right. So I'll just concede here, and we'll just go back in. No sideboard.
Yep, no sideboard.
Submit.
Oh man, some of the sideboard cards look really tasty.
Spicy.
Oh, I would rather play an unsideboarded game against Blue-White Red though, because I know there's some really, really scary cards in that sideboard for this matchup. This matchup pisses off a lot of people.
Okay, here we go. Game 2. We will play first again. You know, I think now that we know what we're playing against, I think it's important to have early game disruption in the form of removal and counters. This hand's not going to get there. I think we should mulligan.
All right. So I see that he mulliganed. I do have a pretty solid hand. It's a little shy on lands, but we are on the draw, so we will have 4 turns to see a land that we want to see. So because we've got the draw, well, 4 draws, 4 cards deep into the deck before we even start feeling any pressure at all to play lands. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to mulligan again. This deck just doesn't really have any action. Sure, we have these, but, I mean, you know, the deck runs 25 lands. There's, I think, a high probability that these are just going to flip us into more lands, and outside of that, we don't have a lot of action. He's not that great in this matchup, so we're going to be forced to mulligan again.
All right, Nako in man mode, actually playing through a game with 4 cards. I like it. Let's see this man mode.
Okay, so this is not great either, but this is 5. I don't think we win a multi 4, so we're going to keep here.
All right.
And play that out. We'll probably be fetching a Hallowed Fountain. Pass the turn.
All right, so I see a land, which doesn't make me super happy, and I have no way to access this, so my first turn is kind of dead. We don't have all of our colors, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there tapped.
We're going to go ahead and sack and pick up that Hallowed Fountain.
It is relevant that we have 2 of our 3 combo pieces, so that's kind of good. But we're going to be fighting uphill against counter magic. Unfortunately, the draws we've seen so far have not been super kind to us, but that was an alright draw depending on what happens right here. So removal isn't going to get this done.
We do want to remand this because we were hoping that this gets us into another land, which it did.
Alright, that's unfortunate for us, but it was a lot better than mana.
Blue, white, red, blue, red. I think we just want to take... We don't have a lot of plays right now, so clearly this is our only plan. So...
Alright, since we haven't seen Geist yet, except for the other matchup. Oh, this is an interesting thing. That was a good draw for us, although we are going to be fighting uphill. So I'm going to have to shred the Wall of Roots a little bit and drop the Noble Hierarch. That does get us a little bit closer to where we need to be. It's not the right color mana, unfortunately, but that turns this on. Not for very much, but...
That was an okay draw, but we do have this and this. So we're just gonna get on the beats.
So I have an interesting choice here. I see a Geist coming in, and he's going to be shooting tokens. Two life is not that big a deal, but he's on an aggro plan, and 2 life in this instance, if we can block it twice, will increase our clock. It'll give us time. We've been hurting on lands already, but I don't want to risk the Wall of Roots to a bolt. So it's kind of a tough choice. I normally just snap block against a deck like his, but he has a lot of burn, so I'd rather have the burn in the long. Oh, jeez, I just accidentally.
Control Z.
Nope, can't do it. Undo doesn't work on that particular ability.
Oh, well.
Oh, that's great.
Flame.
Oh, cool. It's going to empty my mana pool. That sucks. Well, be careful when you click on Wall of Roots. It's an old card, and Magic Online isn't exactly designed to handle it.
It's an old card, and it's frail.
Yeah.
And it just sometimes does things.
All right. So, the logic that I ran through there was just if he had a burn spell, he was going to burn our face anyways. Unfortunately, we lose a turn of being able to use Wall of Roots. But here, I think we do just take the damage. Unfortunately, there's a Geist out, but there's not much we can do at this point to get around it. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this puppy out there. I'm going to pay the life for it. And hopefully he doesn't have a counter. If he has a counter, we're pretty hosed.
So we definitely want to do this. We're going to do it.
Oh, Cryptic Command, spicy. Oh, Snapcaster Mage, and then a Remand. We could have played around this, but we didn't. So. It's going to get remanded, which is unfortunate. That stings a little bit. And it sucks that our Wall of Roots is dead for no reason, but I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy out, at least to provide a blocker or to keep him from bolting the Wall of Roots. Or if he does bolt the Wall of Roots, then if he attacks, I can still, with a reasonable amount of safety, block with my wall. Oh no, I can't. It's 0-2. It should be a 0-3, but that's...
I think we just do this right now here. This isn't all that relevant, but let's see. 6. If we swing with everything, he can. Let's see. If he blocks say the Snapcaster Mage with the Wall of Roots, and then blocks Scavenging Ooze with Geist of St. Traff, he's going to take 6. This would make it 9, 10, 11, which means if we draw any burn spell, he's dead. We also have Colonnade. 1, 2, 3, 4, but we're a land short. So I think we just want to blow this up and then just swing with everything.
And I'm going to concede because of the Wall of Roots thing.
I don't know. You really think I needed to concede there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so in this matchup, we've got a few really good cards to bring in that are basically in the sideboard for this matchup. We've got Thrune, Sin Collector, and 4 Thoughtseizes. I'm not sure 4 is the right answer yet, but Cryptic Command and a few things can really burn us out. And I don't mind taking the damage in the matchup usually. So a few things that are kind of dorky. He's got paths. So Archangel of Thune might be a candidate to come out. We have 2 Murderous Redcaps. Comboing isn't usually a good answer. Linvala doesn't do very much, so she might come out because his only flyers are his land, and there's a 3/1, but I think Linvala is a lot better for matchups that have creatures that have activated abilities, and none of them are from that matchup. So those are the obvious ones to me. And then Abrupt Decay is painfully bad in this matchup. So let's kind of see where we're at.
It
And Orjoff, the Pontiff, is also pretty bad. So that leaves us with all of our fetching and finding ability. I'm kind of afraid of Graveyard Hate, but there's not much this deck can do with it. I mean, the Pride Mage can hurt it. The Harmonic Sliver also, if he brings in something like Batter Skull, might be good. Although and we are not hurting for 3-drop slots, but I don't mind trading that for something maybe like a Scavenging Ooze. Although Scavenging Ooze shuts down the Snapcaster Mages. Let's see, what can I pull? I'll pull a Kitchen Finks.
So I think in this matchup, we just want to bring in these 2 Grafdigger's Cages. We definitely want to bring in the Anger of Gods. We want to bring in the Hollow Burial. I think we want to bring in the Rest in Peace. And I'd like to bring in the Batter Skull. Just that way, if we get in a top deck war, I think that it's probably better. We'll bring in these 2 Stony Silence. And I think we want to get rid of Geist of St. Traft. I don't like the Spell Snares in this matchup because they hit some of his cards, but they don't hit the really powerful pieces. I think everything else is pretty good. I'm going to take out an Elspeth, and I think we'll take out a Helix because it doesn't really deal with a lot of his persist creatures. We'll run with this.
Okay, here we are again, post sideboard. This is a pretty good hand. I'd be hard pressed to think up a better hand. Maybe not for this matchup, but this does have some heat in it. It's got a lot of good stuff that I want to see early, and we're going to keep it.
I wish we could keep this hand. It has this sideboard hate that we brought in, but considering the rest of the hand, I just think it's a foolish keep. So we're going to mulligan. That's kind of comical. This is basically
the same hand with 1 card taken out.
the same hand. I don't think we can keep this either. So we're going to mulligan again.
Man mode, down to 5 cards.
So this is slightly better.
All right.
We'll keep it.
Keep. All right. I don't like to see an opponent keep anything more than 2 cards, but we'll suffer through it and fire off this because it allows us to get some action to play earlier.
So because we drew this, I think we're just going to go with this plan right now.
The Bolt the Hierarch plan. Yep. That's a thing. So when you see blue, white, red, or blue, white crack a land, pretty much anything with red in it, crack their land, when you have a Hierarch, you can just pretty much kiss that thing goodbye. Turn 1, and yep. Unfortunately, that did eat up the lightning bolt. So, I mean, and that's an alright draw. However, it doesn't get us out of what this was going to get us out. Playing Noble Hierarch turn 1, if it's unanswered, it gives us 3 mana on turn 2, which it unlocks a lot of keys to our deck. At this point, I mean, we could play this and this guy. I mean, that gives us 2 things out.
Matt,
I think it's what's up?
I did something terrible. Why didn't you stop me?
What?
Well, like I said before, I'm testing Rest in Peace, Grafdigger's Cage, and the sideboard.
Yeah.
Why didn't I take out Snapcaster Mage? That's the whole idea. All right.
Well,
we're playing it as it is.
All right.
Man mode.
Man mode. All right, so we got a Birds of Paradise out, and he's tapped out, so I can do this in a janky order. And a Viscera Seer because it turns off his Lightning Helixes, although it doesn't turn off the bolts. I could have played this instead, which I would have done otherwise. Excuse me, but he mulliganed twice, so his capacity to have a lot of answers is kind of dwindled.
Because he can untap and because he can untap, play land, and make use of a couple of bad things. We do have this, but I feel like maybe we just want to get this into play. That's a less efficient use of mana. No, maybe not. I think we just want to ride this, keep this up, and yeah, we're gonna be on. Maybe that'll help us find another land.
All right, so that wasn't the world's greatest draw. He didn't deal with our creatures, which I was kind of hoping he would tap down for. Unfortunately, because his land combination, it wouldn't work out too well for him. I mean, upkeep path might have been a thing, but then he would have to use the other. He would have to path twice, which wouldn't be super good for him either way, especially after he mulled twice. I mean, I'm kind of afraid of playing this is going to get it countered, but this turns on Spell Snare, and I don't want to do that. And I think we have enough of a tempo advantage right now that we can just play this, and if it gets countered, I mean, we'd be a little worse off because we don't have much action going on, but we do have some late game right there. So, and seeing as they usually side out some of their clunkier spot removal, I'm okay with this right here. So we're going to go ahead and actually pay the cost, which is almost never the case. I could have it ready, but I feel like trading 2 life, we've already shocked ourselves to get the Viscera Seer into play. I mean, it would give us capacity to sack it again. That would cost 4 life, and that's assuming he doesn't have a counterspell, which I kind of feel like he's got either way. He mulled, so you can tell he was looking for something.
So
he probably found it, and he didn't play at turn 2, so it wasn't any of his sideboard.
So because we were so intelligent and kept these 2 cards in play, then what we're gonna go ahead and do is let him resolve that, and then as end step, we're gonna run this friendly fellow out.
That is an interesting play.
Let him be confused.
That I do not understand.
Hope we draw a land. We did not.
We're gonna get punched and possibly double path here.
And then we're just gonna do this.
Grafdigger's Cage. That's a thing. So that shuts off our deck essentially.
Our Snapcaster Mages have become 2/1 beaters with Flash.
Yes, I'm okay with that. So we're kind of limited on our options right now. We can't search our library and things don't come back from the graveyard, which does stink quite a bit. It has some serious PU. I could start Gavany Townshipping.
You can search your library, you just can't. Creatures can't enter the battlefield.
Well, yeah, creatures can't come from the library. Okay, so it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't shut off the Mystery Rainforest. That's a good point. So I'm okay with this and just swinging in with Viscera Seer. We pretty much shut off his Snapcaster Mages, although his Grafdigger's Cage already did that. But we also have a creature to eat, so I'm okay with that. So that now makes his Snapcaster Mage a little bit less of a beats.
It's kind of an inefficient use of mana, but I still think we want to do this here. Well, let's see how many. Gavany takes 4 mana in itself to activate, so that's 1 here, 2, 3. Yeah, so he's got enough mana to activate Gavany Township with the birds.
So at this point, I'm kind of feeling like my opponent is deep in the tank. He's got plenty of
tanking
options here.
But we're considering pathing now so that we can get 2 damage in. It's going to give him a land. He's going to be able to start activating Gavany Township. It's possible that we left in all of our Path to Exiles. We left in all of our Lightning Bolts. Unfortunately, we shut off our own Snapcaster Mages, so that's not an option. But if we kill that and get another land and play this, then he can't really block it. So However, he can if he... He will be able to once he plays Gavany Township. I think we just... If we just pass, he can start pumping up his guys, and we get no benefit. He doesn't really have to play any spells. He has Gavany in play, so I think we have to start eliminating his creatures, even if we're not doing it as a 2. That one has the most damage potential right now, so I think we just want to try to deal with that.
All right, so I see 2 white mana. That kind of worries me. I'm going to go ahead and eat the Noble Hierarch because the Graph Digger's Cage shuts off my ability to bring it back out anyway. I mean, I could see it coming back with Eternal Witness, but I'm not going to Eternal Witness and Noble Hierarch. Like, if we're doing that, we've probably already lost the game. So we got pathed. That kind of stinks, unfortunately, but it did ramp us, so I'm okay with that.
So unfortunately, to let go of that white mana, we didn't really have anything to use it on, but because we had the Mystic Gate in play, it made 2 white. Could have made a white and a blue, but...
So it's a good time to fetch, then our deck out, get a little bit more mana. I'm not going to grab any basics. That wouldn't make much sense. But we... Okay, that was a good draw. So I'm going to run this out first because he has no counter magic up. And this doesn't seem like intuitively it'd be the best play, but I'm going to shock myself so that I can get in for more damage. Because I feel like while that does put us behind, it's like as if we got hit by another Snapcaster Mage. This allows us to get more damage rolling right now, which is what I want, because late game we can be in trouble. Because unless we top deck something like a Qasali Pride Mage, we're just going to have to do more damage than him, which this board is capable of in spades, if we can keep Gavanying and he doesn't interrupt us.
We're severely hurting on lands, obviously. I'm still going to offer a trade with the bird. I mean, if there's any reason not to.
So this is an interesting choice. He doesn't have much going on. He might play a land and dump something else dangerous onto the board, but I'm willing to just take it. I mean, he might burn us out, but I haven't seen too much, so I'm okay to take some damage. 10 is not scary to this deck, especially because we have a bunch of other ways. Wow, that was bad. That was epic bad. That was like abrupt decay. That's abrupt decay bad.
You have 3 creatures in play and Gavany. I think you're doing fine, bro.
We're on the Gavany plan. I'm not even gonna bother with any pretext of us.
So we're gonna remand this. We're just gonna be sad. That's what.
So I'm going to swing in now. I can leave a bird back, and I'm at 10. So I feel like it might be a good idea. It might not be the best idea because a bolt still gets through it and buys him more Snapcaster beats. But he offered the trade last time, which makes me feel like he doesn't have much. So now there's no trading. He just has to sit there and look at his Snapcaster Mage.
I mean, I'm going to run this out because it does absolutely nothing else.
Yeah.
Thanks to my pro level sideboarding, it does nothing.
Graph Digger's Cage is still pretty good. I don't know. It hurts me a lot more than it hurts you. Like I would have gone
7
off by now.
7. Let's see, you're going to be swinging for 3. Okay, yeah, we're going to concede. There's no way for us to win this game. We're dead next turn. We have no answer. All right, well let's do something different in our sideboard here, because that was just bad. That's the first time I've run those cards together, and I wasn't really thinking about that. So let's bring these out, and that puts us at 4 cards that we could possibly bring in. Probably bring that. See, if we have the cards, maybe bringing in a Geist of St. Traft isn't too bad, and then we can bring back in these spell snares. They're not the greatest, but they can hit some relevant. They do have some relevant targets. It's possible too to engineer explosives in order to maybe get a 2-for-1 against things like birds. Might even be better. So we'll take a spell snare out. We're bringing in engineered explosives. Um, and yeah, we'll give this configuration a try. You gonna make any changes, Matt?
Yeah. So I saw Grafdigger's Cage there,
Yeah,
which
let me flip
it,
back to your screen.
Grafdigger's Cage does thing just a little bit. Um, so I have 7 ways to search my deck. For creatures, not including range reveals, but 7 ways to search and put them into play. I feel like that's a little bit too much, seeing the amount of hate uh, from a Grafdigger's Cage, which is pretty much just dedicated to this matchup, and it's brutal. So I'm going to bring in a little bit more conventional way to win. It also gives us non-Revel Arc ways. So if our graveyard is gone, that also shuts off Revel Arc. This is the Archangel of Thune is yet another way to tax his Path to Exiles. I mean, he could like Bolt, Snap, Bolt, but he can't do that if he has Graveyard Hate. So
Grafdiggers doesn't get rid of Revel Arc, only rest in.
No, Grafdigger's Cage does,
It
because
says you
creatures
can't cast.
No, it says.
Oh,
Oh, does it?
No, wait. I think you might be right.
Creatures can't enter the battlefield from libraries or graveyards.
I
Right?
think you might be right. Let me read the text. Creatures can't. Yeah, you are correct. I am wrong.
Yeah, I've played Pod quite a bit.
You know,
and
I've always
that
kind of
always stings.
I've always kind of advocated not playing those cards in blue red against Pod, but it's definitely worth testing.
Yeah, those are the cards that win you the game. Like last game, I would have gone bonkers if that thing wasn't in play.
Okay, so I think we want to keep this, and we will.
This hand would have been significantly better on the play. This is the kind of hand that on the draw, it's a toss up. I do have a lot of action, so if he stumbles at all, I think we can win. But it's going to be an uphill battle.
That's what I like to hear.
All right, so he doesn't have any red mana up. So if he does bolt, he's not going to have another answer up. So we do need to play the birds, and he has paths, and hopefully he boarded out the Geist. So I'm willing to take just a bit of damage, and I've got these other lands here, so we're going to get some white mana into play and not cut ourselves off at the knees from path by taking all of our basics early and play birds. So, and because of the island, Lightning Helix doesn't work. So it's the only thing that answers it right now is Bolt, and that's not Bolt mana. So hopefully he passed it, but I don't see that happening with those 2 lands.
So I think we have this, and we have this. I think it's probably neither of these affect right now, but they will matter later. I think I want to get. I think I want to do.
It's Grafdigger's Cage. I'm going to kick you in the nuts.
No. I think we want to do this, and then we'll do this.
All right. Uh-oh. Rest in peace. The Stony Silence. All right. Stony Silence is one of the less important sideboard cards. It shuts off Pod, but that's it. And Pod is only, at this point, 50% of our ability to go off. So, and with what we've got in our hand, I mean, that inhibits our potential, but I'm okay getting this guy out here because throwing out a Kitchen Finks gives us a little bit of life back. We've already shot ourselves with our land twice, which is unfortunate, but he has no red mana out, which is good. But I mean, if he paths right now, he's got to tap out his lands. And I'm okay with that because that shuts off most of his counter spells.
So I think we're just going to do this, and we still have these to follow up after the fact. So the white.
Rest in peace. The machine starts. Now that one does really sting.
We're really going to want to hope we draw into a red source so that we can just do this.
All right, that was interesting. We can buy ourselves with this by playing Ranger of Eos. We can really turn this on in the future and tax his ability to counter through it, and he can't counter it right now because he's tapped out. So I'm going to go ahead and just for good form, swing the kitchen finks, get in there. All right, my Ophi.
Good
So the
form,
Ophi,
sir. Attack
the,
first. Good form.
the Ophi's going to get in there with a dagger in his mouth and
What is
some
the Elfie?
milk. I think he's stealing.
Oh,
I
the
think he's
Ophi.
stealing milk.
What is he? Yeah, I don't
He's
even
got to
know.
be stealing milk.
It's
That's milk.
it's milk, but he's not really stealing it. I think he's trying to drown himself. That way he can. He
So
wants to.
you
He wants
get
to
to
show everyone. Yeah, he wants to gain life. He's going to drown himself in milk, gain 2 life. His controller will be very happy.
All right, so this does kind of stink that this was a fetch land and not something else, but I'm still not going to grab a basic. And at this point, it's kind of a toss-up because there's not too many targets to search anyway, but, you know, those path lands, I just don't want to give him anything that I don't have to. So I think it's probably tighter to grab a basic in this point because of the life total, but he doesn't have any red out, so I'm okay hurting myself, and because snap bolt isn't a thing because of rest in peace, and he only has 1 mana. So this is a combo piece, and we're really close to comboing, although we have to deal with the rest in peace. And we already have Birds of Paradise, so I'm going to drop this guy out there. So we do have some threats on the board, so he's going to have to answer it.
We really want to draw into a land, which we did. So
Damn.
I was tempted to play Geist of St. Traff first, which obviously, Matt, you're not hearing that. I should say this guy. I was attempting to play this guy, this spirit guy.
I don't have answers to him. I'm not worried about it.
That way we could get Geist online and then start doing this and start doing this and start doing this. But I'm a little bit worried about if he plays Kasali Pridemate, which he may very well have in his hand. Then he has the ability to take care of either of these, which I don't like. So
this is our plan, by the way.
What I think we want to do is do this here, and then oh wait, that makes it a little awkward on our colors. Let me see. We get that. So we want to get a Steam Vents, play this, and then go from there. I think is what we want. So let's go ahead and. I don't know actually if we have to do it now. He doesn't run any other magic, so we could just. Let me think. I think we can just pass and hold our mana up and see what he does.
All right, so we're at 14. This card has been almost completely shut off. So I have a few options here. One of the clear ones to me is getting Viscera Seer into play, so I can sort of determine what's going on in combat, and if he tries to Lightning Helix something, I can just eat it.
I guess that's fine.
All right, so this is kind of decision time. If we put all of our eggs in this basket, we could risk him having a bolt. He shocked himself, so, and he didn't drop a fairy on us. So those legendary fairies getting all up in your chili. We didn't have to deal with that this turn, which was exceptionally good. I didn't want to see one of those this turn. When he shocked himself, that's what I was thinking. So he's got some sort of answer. It's probably in the form of a bolt because he let the Viscera Seer resolve. So I think I'm comfortable just swinging in and keeping this up. I mean, if he taps down, that can help, but we'll see.
So we're moving to combat. Let's see what he attacks with. Ward 14, I think we're okay to take 3 so that we can hold up on decisions, but if we can get rid of this and not have to take the extra damage, I think that's fine. And we're going to do this for extra value because Bolt doesn't normally get rid of Kitchen Finks, but it does right.
All right, so this kind of helps us bring to parity because he's let the range reveals through, so I don't feel so bad about the times I shocked myself. This guy isn't particularly good right now, and these two are pretty good because we have one stable attacker out. If he has another answer to our attackers, that would be unfortunate. But playing this out kind of turns off this for the turn, but he didn't counter it, so I'm okay kind of wading through this and seeing what goes on. I don't really have any other plays, so we're just going to pass.
I think we want to use one of these right now here, simply so that we can deal with one of his damage-dealing creatures now.
Path to Exile. And do I want the land or do I want the scry? At this point, I'll take the land. It might be a little bit of a harder choice if he didn't have Rest in Peace, because we might be able to get it back later. I mean, not so much with Ranger of Eos because his power is 3 and Revel Arc doesn't hit that, but Rest in Peace is, again, controlling every single decision we make right now.
So I think because we drew that, and we can hold this up or this up, depending upon what he plays, I think I'm okay to try to get this out.
Ooh, Geist. That does not make me happy.
He doesn't have any good blockers for it yet.
All right, so he's keeping a red up. This isn't making me happy, but if he ends up shocking himself for it, that would be nice. We're going to grab this because it's our last non-basic, and there's no point to hurt ourselves because that gets both of the colors. Golly, man. So this isn't quite dead yet, but it's close. I'm going to go ahead and swing with a little birdie to do some damage. And if he has a bolt, he has one, that's fine. I can give up a Bird's Paradise for a bolt. Because we have just geeks.
We don't want it. We don't. I mean, we don't want to use our resources on the bird right now. I think we're more worried about something like a Kasali Pride Mage coming down and potentially shutting off one of these, and then him being able to start doing more powerful things. So we want to try to leverage our life total to prevent that from happening.
All right, so he allowed that to happen, which makes me kind of happy. I have a lot of recursion ready. And my deck turns on when I get rid of this. So I'm going to, and he only has 1 mana. The only thing I can imagine is Spell Pierce, so I'll play around that. We're going to go ahead and drop a chord for a bunch of mana, just so we can look, because we don't have anything else to do particularly now anyway. And we're going to keep up the 2 for Spell Pierce. So it's 4. So we're going to search for a creature worth 4. And go ahead and fire that off. That's the safest thing we can do. And he doesn't have a Grafdigger's Cage, so our deck isn't completely shut off. Which is why Stony Silence is inferior in this matchup to Grafdigger's Cage. Alright, so we got some good options. The one I really want to do is Harmonic Sliver. Although, if we get into Tomb Exarch, it's a defender, and it forces him to deal with what's going on. I feel like we're ahead enough that this just might be the right play. This is also pretty good. And I haven't seen any Wraths at all, and if he Wraths us, we're just screwed anyways, and this kind of plays around that. So I'm going to grab this guy, just because he's really good in this matchup.
So yeah, that's obviously incredibly good. I think we're just going to get a... We have double white there. We have a blue. I think we're just going to get a Hollow Fountain. That way we can sort of have a better... We can make a single white if we need to without having to get awkward.
This is interesting. He played a land, and I can only fetch basics anyway, so the opportunity cost of doing it now doesn't cost me that 2 life. And there's a couple things that might blow me out. I mean, he doesn't have the mana to uh, double Pyroclasm right now and do something, I don't know, in response, Slagstorm, to kill Thrune before I could like wall the fetches on the stack. You know, it seems very unlikely that he'll have a way to deal with it, but I did want to have the mana available to play around instant speed, mass removal, and it didn't cost us any life. So fetching it in response was just one of those things I think, you know, just helps us get from getting blown out from cards that we don't know he has.
So the reason we actually got the Steam Vents there was so that we can make sure we can make a double red in case we drew into something like an Anger of the Gods, which we didn't. And unfortunately, this card is going to be very problematic for us. We can attack into it and put him at 8, but he can just swing back. He's going to be able to swing back for 6, which almost kills us. And I don't think we want to attack. See, if we attack and he swings back with Thrun and gets 2 Exalted Triggers, then we can possibly swing back with a Colonnade, but then he's still going to be at 4. So we'd need to be able to... I think the only thing that's really going to save us is... A Cryptic Command might do it, or maybe a Hollowed Fountain, like a Hollowed Burial or an Anger of the Gods doesn't really save us, because the only thing that our only out is Hollowed Burial. That's our only out really from Throne the Last Troll. If we had a Cryptic Command, we could
chain tap and then just blow us out with a bunch of guys, 2 guys.
Yeah, but I don't think we don't have a Cryptic Command now. If we don't attack, he's going to swing back. We can block. We're still at 8. Let's just see another card. So yeah, I guess we just hold Geist back as an awkward blocker, trying to buy a little time to potentially see more cards. It's not ideal, but we don't have a lot of options.
So that's not a great draw. We know it already only draws basics. This has been a pretty grindy match, and we haven't had any recursion. So normally our deck is pretty, and he's got a lot of cards that influence us. Stony Silence stings a little bit. We could have answered it, but again, it only shuts off 3 cards in our entire deck. So as far as sideboards go, it's not that important. Rest in Peace, however, has burned us down this game. But hopefully Thrune can get us out. I could have seen his hand by grabbing Tumor Exarch, but I don't know. So we're just going to go ahead and swing. We have an Exalted trigger, and I think Geist is his only way to win. He didn't Cryptic Command us, so I could just attack with the birds and keep Thrune back, but we're just going to YOLO.
YOLO. All right, so we're going to block with Geist here. It's not ideal, but it gives us an opportunity to draw into something like a Hollowed Burial. So
I'm going to go ahead and run this guy out here. His quality is reduced greatly by Rest in Peace anyway. So, I mean, he's just another body that gets damage on the board. And because he blocked Thrune, I think he's hoping for some kind of out, and maybe it involves handling Thrune on a one-on-one basis. I don't know. At this point, I don't see too many outs for him. So. We still do have this. It was probably wrong to run him out, but I can always sack him to draw more cards. Anger, which is exactly what I'm about to do. Let's grab this guy, he's gone forever. Oh, we're getting so much value right now. That's gone. That's a piece of crap. I don't want that. That's anger is unfortunate. It normally blows us out quite a bit. We've got thrown. That I do want, but how badly do I want it? Because it doesn't interact with his board. A lot of my draws are kind of dead because of Stony and Rest in Peace. So I'm going to settle.
That would have been a lot better as a Hollowed Burial, obviously, but we'll take what we can get.
So, I mean, the life offset from fetching Misty doesn't really do anything for us, so we're not going to do it, especially since we're going to be doing this. I'm going to attack just to kind of, if he has a Cryptic, it doesn't stop us from attacking, or if he does do it, he doesn't get the tap and the counter. So, or if he did it for a card, I could then grab the card. So, he might have a remand just to try and look for another answer. I don't mind Thoughtseize getting remanded. Path to Exile or Spell Snare. I don't really care about either of these cards, but since I'm going to shoot myself anyway, we're going to take the path. Playing this, I don't really see an advantage because we don't have anything left. So we're just going to go ahead and pass the turn. And if he doesn't answer through, like a land would buy him a turn from Colonnade, but it wouldn't really accomplish anything. So I think the King of Trolls is going to get us out of this one.
That's kind of late.
I just want to point out that if that Stony Silence had been a Grafdigger's Cage, you would have won this game.
Well, then I'm just going to play this.
A little late, but better late than never.
Yeah, okay, so we're also did this game. Had we got a land, maybe we could have traded. Well, we couldn't have traded. It would have bought us a turn because he can regenerate the run. So, next game.
Good game, Nate.
Okay, so here we go with game 3 of our sideboard matches. This hand seems, I think, pretty reasonable. So we're gonna keep it. And
all right, so we are kind of hurting. Our plan is not online at all here, but we do have these, which, while he can deal with one, dealing with a bunch of them is kind of unlikely, and we have some later game stuff. So I mean, this isn't the perfect hand, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it, especially because we're on the draw.
we're gonna play this out and ship the turn.
All right, I smell a bolt, which I'm completely okay with. Totally am not hedging my entire plan on this birds. So
this is pretty standard here. We're gonna bolt the bird, as they say.
Yeah, this bird tends to be a lightning rod. If you play it turn 1, it just as soon as it flies outside, it's in its happy grove. You know, it's a bird of paradise. It leaves its paradise to come help you in Magic, and all it does is absorb lightning bolts.
I think we're just going to pass. These lands let us do this. We could do this, but then we lose the ability to do this, and we might want to, so we're just going to pass here.
All right, so I kind of smell a mana leak or a remand, but a remand wouldn't do anything to delay us a little bit. I'm okay with that. That was a fine thing. And we're going to go ahead and just Paradise on Earth. So hopefully it doesn't have Electrolyze.
We are going to take care of one of those.
Ooh, Lightning Helix. I thought you, from the impressions of the games, I figured you boarded them out. But
we'll go one here.
And
then play this.
All right, so he shocked himself to keep some counter magic up. Grafdigger's Cage hurts us quite a bit. We are going to have to fight through counter magic here. I can smell it. Grafdigger's Cage, again, does the same thing. It stops creatures from coming in from the graveyard, so this thing is bolt bait, but I'm trying to draw out a counter spell with it. So, because we do have some action. So, although Grafdigger's Cage does shut it off, I still think it's worth it. We haven't hurt ourselves at all, which is kind of nice in this matchup. It's not something we really need, but
we could have done this.
So
we could have done this, but it does get taken care of from this, and I want to sort of untap and draw and see what we get.
So I'm gonna run my land out there just because and pass the turn because I want to get
So that's
four.
I think pretty good. I don't think there's necessarily a reason to do it right now. We'll just pass the turn again. We did miss a land drop.
Which is something I'm looking for. This card is a completely dead card now, so I won't even bother playing it. I'm going to swing and don't have a bolt.
Bolt you.
And
Sphinx.
he has a bolt. And Sphinx persists, but it doesn't because it can't enter the battlefield because of Grafdigger's Cage. That card alone is just ruinous to our deck. We are in some kind of trouble, fellas, but we can do this. This is all right. I don't mind doing this. I mean, it's not the most ideal card to lead out now, but I just want to get some power on the board immediately, and it lets us grab our Kitchen Finks back, which is kind of relevant.
I do think we want to do this, hoping that we get this online next turn. It's kind of extra value from something that we've already taken care of, and I think we want to deny him the opportunity to do that.
All right, so Eternal Witness got leaked, which is not ideal at all, but we'll just.
So that was good. I mean.
All right, so I'm probably staring down a cryptic command right now, so I'm just going to go for it, as they say, because the later this game gets, the worse it is for me. So he might have double bolt, but he can't snap bolts or anything like that because of the Grafdigger's Cage. So this is going to get countered. So I'm just going to run it out there.
We can take care of that with this, so I don't know why we would do this right now.
All right, so I dodge the counter magic, and I fear an end of turn path, which is happening, I'm assuming.
Yep. The reason we're pathing now is if we don't draw a land, we still want to have this up. We don't want to.
So he only has one card in his hand. It's likely that it's a counter spell. If it's a Snapcaster, now he has two. If it's a Snapcaster Mage, it doesn't mean that much, but hopefully this draw will turn it on. It doesn't. We can play around Mana Leak just naturally, so I expect to see a Cryptic Command, but if we can avoid it, that would be great.
It would be great to be able to take care of this in a different way, but obviously we don't want that to hit the battlefield and then have him get rid of our Grafdigger's Cage. So we want to counter and draw.
So again, highlighting how bad it is to ever see a Grafdigger's Cage in the matchup. I was forced to run my guy out into counter magic to try and turn the rest of my deck on, and because that didn't happen, he gets countered. He's still retaining that card, and while we would be very much alive, otherwise we're essentially dead now. So I mean, we're going to play it out, obviously, but first we're going to swing with our bird. just to demonstrate to our opponent what we have going on. Abrupt Decay is an answer to a lot of the sideboard shenanigans.
There's really no reason to do this right now, and you know, with this in play, it's clearly that this is better, and hope that we get some kind of action soon.
All right, so
I will say this: top decking against Pod is less scary than it normally is with Grafdiggers, but if you kill me with the giant Birds of Paradise, I'm not going to be happy.
Get in there, bird. So while his eagerness the previous turn was kind of, you know, he jumped the gun a little bit. Now he's got a gun, and I did get through for some damage. So in 2 more turns, he's going to be bolt proof. So hopefully he did not draw a bolt, because if we drew a bolt, we're dead on board. I mean, just because I mean, we're not dead technically.
You can just top deck and throw on the last troll, and we'll be in the same stupid position we were in last time.
All right. So can we do these both? Yes, we can. So we're going to do this
And
pre-combat
we're going to do this.
just so we don't waste. I mean, he might bounce, remand it. That's fine. Okay. I'm going to swing with my bird. And if he doesn't bolt it, he's going to take a damage. So here we go. I kind of feel a War Leader's Helix or a bolt, but whatever.
I think you meant a lightning helix.
A War Leader's Helix, man. You got
This is
you might play Metamorphose into Dark Ritual into.
So we're gonna do this, and I think we're gonna do this because of what he played last time. So we're just gonna get all that out of the way. We're not even gonna just pretend to be crafty. We're just gonna destroy target land right now.
There goes our plan.
And then we're gonna make
And we're gonna get
these guys and make with this and go like this.
Stony Silence, yuck sauce. So, Stony Silence is normally a very dead card against us. It's gotta be worse than whatever he took out. But we'll swing with the birds and just hope to get there. We have them on a 7-turn clock, which is the best we can do right now.
Oh my gosh, I'm probably gonna
Might
die
as
to
well
that, but
play this out. I mean, why not?
we want to draw cards.
Okay.
Cycle remand.
That stinks.
At least we got those out of the way, but action would be better.
I mean, we might have a Geist bird staring contest.
I mean, I don't really know why I mean, whatever.
All right, Maelstrom Pulse turned on. I boarded in 18 of them. All right.
We really need just a friendly bolt. Oh man,
That's some quality. That's getting there.
We're dying to the worst top decks in the game. The worst top decks that your deck has, we're dying to.
Now the beauty is we do this a lot. These sort of wins do happen because every single one of our cards does things other than the pod it's supposed to do.
It's this, but then this just pumps itself. But you know, you play the cards you have, and it's good that we had that Stony Silence because now Spellskite can't really do much. We're not really gonna bluff anything. We're just gonna play this out and pass.
All right. That was a mediocre draw at best, but it's going to increase our damage per turn to 2. I'm going to swing with him because he's bolt proof and his 0 cards, he might threaten an invisibolt. So, yeah. So we can kill him in 4 turns with a Viscera Seer. It's not likely, but it's possible.
That's also a pretty awful draw.
I am tempted to sack the Spellskite here. It might not be the worst play. It turns on his removal, but if he has removal and he blows the Noble Hierarch, my Spellskite shuts off anyway, and I do have much better draws. So I am going to go ahead and sack that. Normally not a smart idea, but that is a great top deck. Great. So I will keep the shit out of that card. All right, here we go.
We're F6. We're F6. We're totally F6.
Swinging with our Viscera Seer for 2. He's got to draw something to stop me very soon. Very soon, like probably next turn. Because this, while it is a terrible card, Grafdigger's Cage shuts off all my recursion. It gives us life. We're not hurting right now. I mean, we could pass, but we don't really have anything. We do have a card, but it doesn't do anything because Grafdigger's Cages are just brutal. We can technically get out from the Grafdigger's Cages, but it's too much.
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to top deck a Batter Skull, and I'm not going to be able to like use any of its other abilities because of Stony Silence.
It doesn't matter. My guy's going to be bigger than your Batter Skull.
Get out of here. Yeah. So we're basically dead unless we draw a hollowed burial.
And I'm just going to go ahead and do this now because he's been rather forthright with his cards. Like, he'll just play a land. So I don't mind eating any of this because we're under so... Like, we've already lost our a lot of our recursion potential in this matchup. So I'm just going to go ahead and make him umpteen bajillion bulletproof. And then if he gets padded, we're going to go on the Viscera Seer plan again. And we have him dead on board. So if he doesn't play quality right now, uh-oh. Anger. We're going to go ahead and sack our guys because we win. So, nope, we do not want that. And that's completely shut off. Wow, you kill a lot of our deck with that Grafdigger's Cage. Such a good card. That card is scary beyond reasoning. But we got there. And this would have been nice to see, but okay. Voice is always a good creature. It has a, when it dies, it does a thing. So the only thing that really shuts it off is Rest in Peace, which does stink for our deck. But get in there, Scavenging Ooze. One of the mediocre cards at best in this matchup. Helped us grind him out. So
I'm not accepting the damage.
I refuse. Well, you've got 18 minutes, and we can go for long. I can dance for these people.
All right, so yeah, that's Pod is a difficult matchup. I probably could have played better. I'm sure that some of you guys will go back and say, Nathan, why didn't you do this? Or you should have done this. That seems to kind of be the way of things, and I will be like, you were right. Why didn't I do that? So please tell me, because that helps me learn. And the more I learn, hopefully the better videos I can make for you guys. We're going to do this again because I have beaten Pod before with Blue Red Geist. Although I don't think it's a 50-50 matchup. I think it's maybe 60-40 their favor, maybe even a little more. I think it is a winnable matchup for Blue Red Geist, but I think that it's a difficult match to win.
So some closing ideas that I have about the deck. Qasali Pride Mage post-board is much better than he is pre-board. He doesn't really hit much, but all of their answers are in the form of artifacts and enchantments. Pride Mage answers that, and from now on, Sliver is not a question. There's no question about it. All of their hate is in the form of artifacts. And if you hit something like a Batterskull, that's extra bonus. But with a Harmonic Sliver, just getting that Grafdigger's Cage off the board that turns on your Court of Calling and you have 8 mana in play, 7 mana in play, is just too big to ignore. You don't ever want to board out your voices. Even though they're kind of dorky, they can help keep counterspells at bay. Post-board, a lot of your recursion can get shut off. So you want to get rid of maybe a Kitchen Finks or something like that, and focus more on hand disruption, which we do have in the form of 2 Thought Seizes, and rely less on our kind of main plan and more on this grinding plan.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to add to. I was just thinking, one thing you shouldn't do is if you bring in Grafdigger's Cage, board out your Snapcaster Mages. That was pretty bad.
Yeah, Grafdigger's Cages are nuts. Grafdigger's Cages completely ruined this deck. And on top of Grafdigger's Cage, which everyone should have in their sideboard, almost any deck, Grafdigger's Cage, unless maybe Storm might not want it, but everybody else wants it.
Yeah,
Grafdigger's Cage is silly for how much damage it does to this deck. And this is a common deck. If you look at the top 8, it's in there. If it's a modern event, it's going to be there.
Lately it's always been in the top 4, not always the top 3 of the modern metagame on Magic Online. 2 things I want to mention. I really don't like Stony Silence in this matchup that much. Yes, it turns off Pod, and we were kind of fortunate that it sort of turned off your Spellskite, but I like bringing Batterskull in this matchup simply because you need to try to increase your powerful top decks, and I think Batterskull does that. When these matches are played by 2 opponents playing optimally, I think the decks are evenly matched enough that the games are probably going to go long. And so you're going to see a lot of cards, and seeing a Batterskull can be great, but seeing a Batterskull and a Stony Silence obviously isn't.
It's not so good, and Batterskull is especially good because, at least in the way I have this deck set up, I only have 2 answers to artifacts or enchantments. And even if Batterskull is out, unless I'm on my absolute last legs, I'm going to try and hit the Grafdigger's Cage.
The other thing that I want to mention is I think Pod's engine, so to speak, I think it's a more powerful engine than anything that Blue White Red, even maybe Blue White Red Control, is doing. I think Blue White Red Control or Blue White Red Midrange, I definitely think all of those decks have a game against Pod. But if Pod's doing their thing, I do think you just have to play incredibly perfectly and incredibly tight on Blue White Red side to win. And I think the things that Pod is doing are more powerful in their tutoring, more powerful in the fact that they're just getting extra value out of things. You know, cards like Revel Arc, getting multiple cards back. They're able to get ahead of you on cards. And so I think shutting down as much as you can that engine is probably good, even at the expense of your Snapcaster Mage, because I think the things that they're doing are probably stronger.
Yeah, Blue White Red's best answers, I think, from what I've seen. Although Anger didn't do very much in this matchup. This time, Anger has blown me out so many times, and they have access to all the mana that they need for Anger, and Grafdigger's Cages and Rest in Peace. And those cards, the cards that prevent the recursion that this deck is trying to do, that prevent my guys bouncing back and then, you know, sacking and bouncing back, whatever. Anything that can clear the board like that and control my graveyard, because it doesn't seem like this is a graveyard deck, but if you play this deck without a graveyard, it stings.
What do you think about in Blue White Red, Sphinx's Revelation in the sideboard for matchups that can get really grindy, like Jund or Pod?
I wouldn't like it. It's a dead card in your opening hand.
That's
and
true,
Jund is going
but
to steal it.
yeah,
I mean,
Jund.
if they top deck something, their top decks are still going to be more powerful. I mean, even if you do get to do it for 2, your deck is more of a tempo aggro plan on one side.
I'm talking about as a one of in the mind, hoping that you don't see it.
I don't know.
In these top deck wars, when things get long, if you like, if I had drawn a Sphinx's Revelation with this much mana, that probably could have taken
it. Can matter, but think about all the games you're going to lose because it's in your opening hand. So I don't know.
I've run it.
I don't think. I think keeping something like a Grafdigger's Cage in your sideboard is gonna burn so much more. Oh, and even against Jund, if you have a Rest in Peace, that shuts off Tarmogoyf pretty hard.
True. Although against Jund, I don't know. I feel like Tarmogoyf isn't the biggest problem. Anyway, all right. Well, that's it. That's what we got. We're gonna do this again soon, hopefully.
Next match, Jund versus Blue White Red.
All right. Inactivity time remaining. That means we got to go. We'll see you later, guys. Thanks a lot,
right.
Matt.
Thank. No, I'm not going to thank you. Shut up. Bye.
Bye.